Have you ever wanted to know what a semi-modern day take on Jack the Ripper, but in an SOV low budget slasher style would be? Then I have a film for you. Today we're going to be discussing Night Ripper on this week's episode of Nightmare Flashbacks. So strap in as we dive into the obscure. I was going to give you a brief synopsis of this film at the top of this video, but you know what I'm going to do instead? I'm going to go to IMDb because I was looking up some stuff about this film and I said, hey, I want to look at the reviews for these films because you know me, I like weird and bad movies and movies that most people haven't watched. But here we get some classic things. So I'm going to read to you this exact thing. It does have kind of an overview what the film is about, but I kind of disagree with some of the aspects of this review. Let's get a few sentences in and see what this person had to say. Their title line is boring. A super cheap shot on video slasher from the 1980s with crappy music. I disagree. There is a banger in this movie and I'm going to play it for you in a little bit in this video. But man, there's a car chase and this beat starts to kick in. Story is about a killer who is referred to as the Ripper, very original in quotations, who stalks and kills female fashion models. The story is very basic, but it could be good. Unfortunately, it's not. There's a subplot about a photographer and his love troubles, which takes way too much time, and the film is mostly just boring mush. Even the kills aren't that good. Now, this goes on for a few more paragraphs. I think that kind of summarizes what the film is. It's basically just a modern day take on Jack the Ripper, except it's called the Night Ripper. Now, well, one thing, it's called Night Ripper with an exclamation point, at least in the film. Now, on the box, it is just, Night Ripper. Now, I watched the Vinegar Syndrome release of this as it is on Blu-ray and a more modern way to watch this film. I actually do own the old VHS, which the cover art is bad. So this is the cover art for this thing. I'll put it larger on the screen so you can see it, but it is rough. And I can see at the time why this did not get a mass appeal in the SOV style of film. But to me, dude, it just had some old school, videography, especially for the SOV type of movie that it is. I really like some of the kills, even though they're very staged. I was going to say stylized, and then I realized that is not the word for this film. Nothing in this film is stylized. I mean, they do have a pretty great end scene in this film, but nothing is stylized per se. It's all staged. So it's very quick cuts of the kills happening. So it's like a stab to the knife, a stab to the throat. They have a great face stab, in this film. But overall, I guess you could say it is boring in parts. Yes, the love life of our main character does kind of drag down most of the film. He is a photographer and he owns a little studio. Now, this just gave me nostalgic flashbacks to going to one of those Kodak little huts that they had back in the 80s and 90s. Dave and Mitch, who are two main characters. And then we've also got a girl named Janet. And then we also get introduced to this kind of love triangle thing that they have throughout the film, where we've got basically the girl that's going to become our love interest. We've got the main character, Dave's fiance, who is in the film. And then also right away, Mitch, who's played by Larry Thomas. He is the most obvious red herring in a movie that I think I've ever seen.
Did I scare you?
From the beginning, the first girl that is murdered is basically just like, hey, you're really creepy. And he's like, yeah, but what about the Night Ripper? He's here. He could come after you. And then she immediately fucking dies. And so you're like, well, maybe Mitch is the actual Night Ripper. And they are laying that shit on so heavy-handed. It's like, when you ask for mustard on your sandwich and the guy's not paying attention, so he continues to squirt the damn mustard on your sandwich, and you're like, hey, I'm gonna have to scrape some of that obviousness off the top of your movie. He does this throughout the whole movie. He is just obvious throughout the entire movie, even at the very end when you're like, clearly it is this other character who is the Night Ripper. He is still laying on the thickness of this because they still want you to believe that it is not that these other people, that it is Mitch the entire time. And it never is. It never was. And I don't think anybody believed that it ever was. The bulk of this film is basically this love triangle and them taking photo shoots and the Ripper killing these characters. And I mean, I think it's fine. I don't think it's a bad movie by any stretch. But again, I don't know what bad is anymore. I just have lost touch of what bad is. This is basically just in line with the type of movie that I think I would watch and like, and I'm sure some of you fellow viewers would like this movie as well. There's one viewer I think would fall in line with this movie and will agree with many of my sentiments. While we know it's bad, we still love the thing that's bad. That should be the motto of the channel. I love it, but it's bad. There's not much to say about this film and like a context in me breaking down the film. Because there's really not much there. There's just basically just like this, these Mitch's problems and then Dave's problems with his fiance who is cheating on him, of course. And then, conveniently, the wife of the man that she's cheating on just happens to follow him in a creepy nature because we need a car chase. We need some excitement in this film, which does give us the banger of a song, which I'm going to play for you now because there is no copyright gods on this trash from 1986. But anyway, we're going to play an excerpt from this, and you can see the banger that this is. Anyway, I mean, I was stomping my foot after the boringness that is most of the film. When this hits in, I was vibing with this. I was like, yeah, this is the Ripper. He's coming up, but it's not the Ripper. It's just a lady whose husband is a cheater. And then we move on. Everybody's cheating in this movie. They deserve to be rippered, I guess. Everybody's cheating with everybody. Every girl who is a model is also cheating. And even the main girl has a boyfriend, but she doesn't. I don't know. She's just saying that, I guess. But basically, the whole crux of the film boils down to it being, spoilers, Janet. It was Janet the whole damn time. You can tell. She is this delivery lady who is, playing off all these things. She gives hints that she doesn't like models because they're just obsessed with themselves and they only love themselves. And then she's got this weird thing with her girlfriend where she like snaps at her in the bedroom and then is like, oh, I can't forget about my ex. Oh, she's dead. Yeah, no shit, bitch, because you killed her. That's what happened. And we know that. This is very clear and obvious to all of us watching this movie. I know there's no subtext in this movie, but very clear cut that you're the killer the entire time. And I think it's one of those things when there is a character that kind of pops in and out of your movie and just makes one-off remarks, you're like, that's the killer. That's the killer. That's the person that did this. We all know this, right? We're all sitting here knowing that Janet is definitely the killer the whole time. But I don't know. It was a fun little movie. I wouldn't say it was boring by any means, but then again, this is the type of trash that I like to watch, especially shot on video stuff. So you have to put this in the context of that type of film, that genre of film, and the time that this was coming out. So as a shot on video film goes, I think it actually looks pretty good. Now, the night scenes are pretty dark, which is pretty normal for this type of film. But overall, I thought this was actually genuinely shot pretty well. The cinematography is not bad. And I do like the quick cuts to the killings throughout it. It's a lot of stabbing, but it's a movie called The Night Ripper, and there's literally a knife on the cover. So I think you know that it's mainly going to be some stabbing. But overall, I thought it was a pretty okay film. I'm not telling you to run out and buy this or watch this, but if you've seen it, let me know down in the comments below what you thought of Night Ripper. If you have any other films you would want me to discuss on this channel in this series, then let me know that down there as well. All right, that's pretty much all I've got, though. Subscribe to the channel if you like what we do here. Become part of the collective. And I will talk to you very, very soon with another weird, wild, and obscure movie. I'm going to link some videos for you at the end, as always. I'll talk to you guys in my next review.